It doesn't always start with pain. Sometimes it starts with silence, the kind no one notices, air so thick between words, it feels hard to breathe. A moment when a small human looks at an adult and realizes there's no one here to lean on. They don't know words like trauma, responsibility, regulation. They just see the world cracking, and something inside decides, if I hold it all together, maybe no one will leave. That's how the first invisible contract is written. I am calm. I am control. I am the smile. And the body keeps that promise for years. Psychologists call it hypervigilance, but really, it's just love wearing the mask of fear. The child grows up, and the world praises them. So mature, so responsible. But no one asks, at what cost? Each compliment tightens around the chest like a thread. Being good becomes the only way to survive. In this quiet discipline, the heart learns to whisper instead of speak, because silence feels safer than truth, and smiling feels easier than tears. Sometimes I think there's a 7-year-old gaze inside every one of us, the one that begged the world not to fall apart. That's where our strength began, a strength that was never really a choice. When adults break, the child becomes glue, not by instruction, by instinct. They learn to laugh on time, stay quiet on time, read moods like temperature. Their brain remembers every tiny sign, the twitch of an eyebrow, the pause between breaths. Neuroscientists say a child from a chaotic home lives in a constant state of cortisol. Their brain learns to survive, not to grow. So later in life, you can have everything and still live as if waiting for impact. Peace feels suspicious. Love feels like a debt. Rest feels like failure. We call it ambition, but often it's just anxiety dressed in competence. The inner child never learned the language of calm. It still waits for danger, even in silence. You lie in morning light on a Saturday, and something tightens in your chest because your body hasn't yet believed it's safe to breathe. You can read the books, meditate, whisper, I'm okay. But the body doesn't believe words. It believes repetition. Every time you stay with yourself instead of running away, your nervous system slowly reteaches the world. Not quickly, but for the first time, in your favor. Then comes a kind of tiredness. Sleep can't fix. Not physical, emotional. It's the cost of a life spent scanning for danger. The brain keeps searching for threats, even when they're gone. The body remembers. Like an old film no one ever rewound. Therapists call recovery a slow rewriting of the brain, not through logic, but through the lived experience of safety. Each time you stay quiet instead of defending yourself, or ask for help and still remain accepted, your system receives a new message. The world has changed. That's the deepest neurobiological act of healing. Philosophers would call it a return to authenticity. The body calls it letting go of control. Being real is terrifying, because real never guarantees acceptance. But in that vulnerability, warmth begins to grow, a quiet warmth that sustains life itself. Sometimes it looks small, a cup of tea, a hand on your chest, a breath. Moments when you stop explaining your tears and simply let them exist. The body learns safety through touch, through rhythm, through repetition, not through understanding, but through experience. And every new moment of silence becomes a fresh neural path toward peace. Maybe today, for the first time, you stop trying to be better. You just sit beside what is, not to analyze, to listen, because everything that once broke in you has always needed one thing: attention. Not success, not control, attention. And now, you're giving it to yourself. That is what returning feels like. No one is coming to say, "You're enough now." That line belongs to you. Healing isn't one moment of clarity. It's the slow, repetitive work of love toward the parts inside that are still afraid. You will slip. You will cry. You will hide again. That isn't failure. That's recalibration. Because every time you come back to yourself, even after running, it's not a circle. It's a spiral, moving inward. And at the end, there's still silence. But now, it doesn't scare you. It breathes with you. And it says, you were never broken. You were one of the ones who survived. And now, you're learning to live.